The hull groaned overhead as Lieutenant Amon Keller slipped into the shadowed U-boat pen, diesel fumes thick enough to taste. Cold air clung to his throat. He faced an impossible problem, tracking submarines that vanished in 1945, with cargo so classified even their captains sailed blind. Naval archives list more than 50 U-boats lost in the war's final months. At least 12 disappeared after last radio contact, defying patrol logs, sonar nets, and projected fuel endurance of roughly 8,500 nautical miles. Keller's boots rang against concrete, each step swallowed by cavernous silence. The emptiness felt predatory. It was as if the sea itself held its breath, guarding the fate of boats swallowed without a trace. A cold prickle crept up his spine. Declassified Allied reports show Type 9 and Fitimid U-boats were diverted to experimental missions in April 1945. Their manifests were blacked out. Analysts estimate loads of up to 30 tons of unlisted cargo, enough to justify total secrecy. He ran a hand along a rusted mooring post. A slick of old oil stained his fingertips. The mix of metal and seawater triggered a memory. Disappearing ships leave louder clues than wrecks. His instructor had warned. The words echoed with new weight. War records indicate U-boats from these pens reported positions with 90% consistency. But on April 22nd, transmissions collapsed, nearly half the fleet falling silent in a single night, one of the Kriegsmarine's sharpest communications failures. Keller approached a sealed maintenance tunnel. Water dripped from its hinges like sweat. The shadows seemed to watch him, ghosts of crews who left and never returned. Fear pressed against his ribs, reminding him how quickly the ocean buries truth. Intelligence models weighed the vanishings: scuttling, mutiny, Allied capture, clandestine relocation. Yet each carried less than 20% probability. Statistically, the disappearances remained anomalies, events without a rational anchor. A voice snapped through the gloom. Commander Weiss, his human obstacle, accused him of wasting resources. Waving a memo from senior command, he dismissed the missing submarines as irretrievable anomalies, unworthy of further inquiry. Naval engineering notes contradicted him outright. Several boats had reinforced pressure hulls capable of deeper dives, exceeding standard safety margins by 15%. These weren't routine patrols. They were missions built on secrecy. Keller descended a ladder into the tunnel. Cold droplets hit the back of his neck. Doubt coiled inside him. He remembered a wreck survey he'd once miscalculated, a failure that haunted him still. For a moment, he considered turning back. Yet submerged acoustic logs from 1945 captured unidentified signatures near the Norwegian trench at depths beyond 250 meters. Analysts later confirmed the patterns didn't match any Allied vessels known to operate there. Keller entered a storage bay. Torn canvas revealed crates marked with decaying serial codes. His pulse kicked. Whatever these subs carried wasn't meant for standard records. The air thickened around him, heavy with buried intent. Forensic reviews show similar crates contained high-grade alloys used in experimental propulsion tests. Residue analysis matched facilities that shut down months before the disappearances, pointing to cargo redirected in secret. He opened one crate. Inside lay a warped logbook, its pages rippled by seawater. The first entry referenced Cargo Protocol H7. The words chilled him. They hinted at a mission born in uncertainty, mirroring the dread he felt stepping into the silent pen. Keller thumbed through the soaked pages. Ink bled across the lines, but fragments endured. Coordinates, depth commands, a warning scrawled in a shaking hand. His heart thudded. The officer had written under fear. The coordinates pointed to Grid 54H, a region plunging past 3,000 meters. Surveys in the 1960s recorded magnetic anomalies, their rising nearly 40% above baseline. The grid had always defied simple explanation. A metallic clang cracked through the tunnel. Keller spun, light trembling in his grip. Only dripping pipes stared back. But unease coiled inside him. Someone, or something, felt close. The air thickened, time tightening around him. Kriegsmarine dispatches confirm H7 classification, outranked U-boat commanders themselves. Only 3 officers in Berlin held authorization. Historians speculate the cargo might have involved experimental drives or irreplaceable intelligence. Keller studied a map pinned to the wall. The plotted route twisted unnaturally, dodging standard patrol lanes. Weiss appeared again, berating him for chasing fantasies, brandishing yet another order demanding the investigation cease. Naval audits later proved that refusal note contradicted sonar archives, showing 12 vessels unaccounted for inside a 50-kilometer corridor. Analysts calculated a 60% chance the route had been deliberately altered. Keller examined the logbook's final entries. Engines unstable at full power. Then, pressure indicators drifting. He tightened his jaw. These crews had pushed their machines past limits, designed to keep steel from imploding. Engineering tests confirmed late-war prototypes exceeded torque tolerances by nearly 20%. Under prolonged dives, microfractures formed in pressure holes, cracks invisible to routine inspection, yet deadly under deep stress. Lights flickered. Keller's vision swam. He imagined metal screaming at depth, gauges failing, sailors trapped as darkness closed in. Doubt clawed at him, urging surrender. Maybe Weiss was right. Maybe he was chasing phantoms. But forensic divers later recovered hull fragments near Grid 54H. Alloy composition matched Type 9 variants, yet scorch patterns contradicted implosion. They suggested external force or catastrophic malfunction. Keller pushed, deeper into the pen, past rusting torpedoes and looping cable. The air tasted like old metal. His instincts sharpened. He felt close, dangerously close, to a truth long buried under silt and silence. Intelligence reviews noted intercepted 1945 messages referencing priority extraction. Only 2 U-boats qualified for that category, yet 5 disappeared that week. It marked the investigation's first major twist. A groan rolled across the ceiling. Dust drifted onto Keller's shoulder. He froze. The pen felt unstable, as if the sea outside pressed against the concrete, eager to crush whatever secrets remained. A maintenance hatch hung ajar. Keller crawled inside and entered a room thick with mildew and oil. On the floor lay a damaged depth gauge, its needle locked at 280 meters. The reading made no sense. This pen had never submerged. Technical notes confirmed such gauges were calibrated during dock trials. For one to freeze at 280 meters, it had to record its final reading aboard a diving vessel, then be removed and returned here by someone intent on severing its trail. Keller lifted the gauge. Its corroded weight felt unnatural, almost mournful. The frozen needle pointed like an accusation. He imagined the moment it jammed, somewhere deep, somewhere dark, somewhere final. Pressure studies show Type 9 hulls were rated for 230 meters. Descending to 280 exceeded structural tolerance by over 20%. Implosion odds skyrocketed. Survival dropped below 5%. A faint hum vibrated through the floor. Keller stiffened. It wasn't machinery. It pulsed like radio interference. His breath quickened. Was a transmitter still alive down here, whispering from a dead mission? Allied intelligence reports list several U-boats marked radio silent due to unknown disruption. Later analysis revealed electromagnetic spikes along the same routes linked to Protocol H7, marking the second major informational twist. Keller traced frayed wires to a rusted console. He flipped a switch. Static exploded from an ancient receiver. Beneath it, coordinates repeated in a loop. His pulse kicked. This was a final distress call. Signal analysts reconstructed similar wartime transmissions, estimating origins drifting nearly 15 kilometers in flight, suggesting the vessels were maneuvering erratically, far outside expected bearings. Keller felt sweat bead as the signal sharpened. Hull compromised. Unknown pressure. Cargo unstable. His chest tightened. He pictured sailors clinging to failing steel in black water, far below survivable depth. Senior officers arrived after his urgent summons. Under their scrutiny, he replayed the recording. Technicians measured decay rates and confirmed the transmission pattern matched wartime U-boat signatures with 90% confidence. A second analysis aligned the coordinates with missing patrol logs. Overlap exceeded 80%. Officers overrode Weiss on the spot, authorizing a full-scale investigation and nullifying his suppressive memo. Weiss lashed out, accusing Keller of manipulation, but the data buried him. His authority collapsed as officers stripped his oversight and placed him under inquiry. Keller had finally broken the wall of silence. In the months that followed, Keller's research reshaped maritime archaeology. Depth variance models were rewritten. Wreck identification success rose by 35% across international teams. Explorers discovered debris fields along the H7 vectors, twisted piping, shattered plating, personal effects carbon dated to 1945. Analysis showed rapid pressure failure, not combat damage, supporting Keller's reconstruction. Museums now display the recovered gauge and hull fragments. Universities teach Keller's pattern analysis model. Declassified archives credit his persistence with solving one of the war's most evasive maritime mysteries. Analysts estimate at least 7 missing U-boats followed the H7 corridor. Their cargo remains unknown, but Keller's findings closed probability gaps once deemed unsolvable, boosting identification accuracy by nearly 40%. And when Keller returns to the silent pen years later, he rests his hand on the rusted mooring post, where dread first gripped him. The echoes sound different now, reversed. The sea no longer conceals their fate. It remembers.